Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial. I'm Josef Botnar. I invite you for another web development tutorial. This tutorial has the goal to talk about headings in HTML5. The headings are used to organize and structure a web page. They've got 6 levels. Each level has a decreased importance, how the number of level is bigger. So it starts with H1 and finishing with H6. I give you an example. For example, H1 is the most important heading level, followed by H2, which is less important than H1. H3 is less important than H2, but is much less important than H1, and so on. Therefore, when you are going to use headings to organize and structure your web page, you have to develop a strategy around that headings and not to use them to set the size of text or of the characters. To set the size of text, you have to use CSS, namely Cascading Style Sheet. I'm going to give you an example. So I'm going to resize this editor brackets, and I'm gonna give a left click on this icon in order to release my default browser, which is Google Chrome. Before I'm going to talk what appeared on this web page, I'd like to tell you that I create before this tutorial a file named headings.html. In order to create a file in a brackets editor, you have to go here on this panel, left side, click right on your mouse and select new file. In this box write the name of the file, .html. So the file must have this extension HTML. Anyway, I did in this file the structure of a web page, which have to start with this doc type, followed by HTML element, head and body. These 4 HTML elements made up the structure of a web page. I have done 2 tutorials regard to the structure of a website and my very first web page. If you don't know anything about the structure of a web page, I suggest you to watch that tutorials. Anyway, you do as you want. I go further. So I released in my default browser Google Chrome the content of this file, and all what is placed here inside this body element will appear on the web page. And as you can see, even I haven't used any HTML elements or tags, this text was appeared on the web page. And maybe you are wondering why I have to use HTML elements or tags if the text or what I have written inside the body element appears on website without using these HTML tags. Yeah, that's right. The browsers, regardless of the browser, even you don't use any HTML tags, they will display the content of your HTML5. I mean what you are going to place inside this body element on a web page. Even you don't use any HTML elements. So they are quite tolerant, these browsers. But in other hand, you can't understand anything regard to what it was displayed on this web page. Actually, here is a mess, and this paragraph is not understandable. You can't understand anything here, and there no visitor will read this. So this is the main reason, because you have to use HTML elements when you want to build a website, because the HTML elements will help you to organize, to structure, and to format your web page to be understandable. One of these elements are headings, as I told you. So let's use here for this text web development H1 heading level. I'm going to cut this text web development and paste it here inside H1 element. And here you go. If you look over on the left side, you will realize straight away that this text was changed. It's bold, is highlighted, and the text, the size of the characters are bigger, because I use this HTML element, namely H1. So this is the most important heading element, heading level, and that's why we have in this way displayed this text web development. And now this paragraph started to be understandable. Now the visitor or the reader, you will know this is a title. So beginning with using this H1 heading level, this web page started to be understandable. For HTML5, I'm going to use H2, cut and paste inside H2 element, and here you go. Now you know that this HTML5 belongs to web development, and you can notice that the size of this text HTML5 is smaller than web development. Why? Because for this text HTML5 I used, as you can see here, H2, which is another level of heading, is less important heading level than H1. Why I have done like that? Because HTML5 belongs to web development, and in this way the visitor will realize this, that the HTML5 is part of web development. Now I go further, and here where is these headings, I'm going to write H3. I'm going to do the same thing, yeah, cut and paste. I go further here, H3, H3. Now here it should be H2. Sorry about this. So H2, cut and paste. Here is going to be H3. Again H3. Here again H2. Again H3. And H3. Here you go. Now this page looks much better, is understandable, is readable. Everyone who will come up on this web page will be happy to read it, to visit it, because the page is good structured and good organized. So this is the main using of this headings element. And another thing of using this heading element is that they have levels, and how the number of level is bigger, the importance is decreased. This helps us to develop a strategy. So you have to develop a strategy around these headings. So now we know HTML5 belongs to web development. This is the main title of this page. And CSS as well belongs web development, because as you can see, I use the same level, the same heading level for HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript. And these three, you can realize that they belong to web development. They follow as importance after web development. Headings, paragraphs are part of HTML5, because I use this H3 level for both of them. And you can realize that headings and paragraphs are part of HTML5, and so on. Colors and box model belongs to CSS, and syntax and introduction belongs to JavaScript. So when you want to use headings, you have to develop a strategy around these headings. Let's see what is going to happen if you don't use properly the headings. If I'm going to write here, for example, H5, look here on the left side. So this HTML5, the size of the text of the font is much smaller. So this is a mess. You can't realize now that this HTML5 belongs to web development. Yeah. So here you should use H2. And now this is very obviously that HTML5 belongs to web development. To set the size of text, you must use CSS. So that's all about headings. Thank you for watching this video tutorial. I'm waiting for you for watching my other video tutorials, and maybe to follow this web development series. Thank you. See you next time.